Ollie be asks about Back to the Future. I don't know. I haven't thought about doing Back to the Future discussions, but I have seen the films. I know the films. Uh, um, I love the films very much. Here's my bad Christopher Lloyd Marty. Yeah, so that's yeah. And and here's my Crispin Glover from Back to the Future. Okay. Oh, right, that's my Crispin Glover. Uh, so, um, um, right. If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything, right? Um, right. What was it? My name is Darth Vader. I'm an extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan. Yes. So there's my Back to the Future. So yes, I love Back to the Future very much. Let's see here. I remember too reading in some film magazine or something when I was a kid. I was living in England at the time, I think, and reading. There's pages in the back of the magazine of these little write-ups in these columns of future upcoming releases. And I remember somewhere in that column there was a title. It was called Paradox: Back to the Future Part 2. So I think at the time, before it was actually released, the marketing was perhaps going along the way of having the title of Back to the Future Part 2 be Paradox: Back to the Future Part 2, because I think it's in keeping with the plot of Back to the Future Part 2, if you know the film. Really, it was really cool. So I was fascinated by that. I didn't know what the word paradox meant at the time. So there's another thing about films. It helps, really helped with my vocabulary. So many words I mentioned before, but like paradox, I mentioned also evisceration. I learned from Hellraiser 2. Also, it's not a film, but it's a TV series, BBC, Miss Marple, starring Joan Hickson. There's an Agatha Christie novel called 450 from Paddington. And there was a Joan Hickson adaptation of this, a BBC Joan Hickson adaptation of this. Really great, by the way, starring also Joanna David and others. And right, it had the great character named Miss Marple, and the great character who is Elspeth McGillicuddy. So anyone who knows 450 from Paddington by Agatha Christie, you know what I'm talking about. So Elspeth McGillicuddy. I love that name. I love that character name. But there's a word in the story of 450 from Paddington that is used to such great effect in the TV film, which is called taunting. Taunting. Who? I don't think I've ever seen the word taunting used in a sentence ever in my life, but I've seen the word taunting used in the story 450 from Paddington, and there's a great little exchange between Miss Marple and a solicitor character in 450 from Paddington, and there's mentioning of tauntings, and it's very important. Anyone who knows 450 from Paddington, you know it's something to do with the Krakenthorpe family, and Luther Krakenthorpe and all this. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself. But anyway, taunting. I learned that word from 450 from Paddington.